fourth principle, I invite our chaplain, Jeanette Chapman, to bring our prayer request box and light our unity candle to remind us that God the good is our source in all things, and that divine light and love live within us always. Thank you, Jeanette. Now she'll lead us in prayer.
Centering prayer. Creator of all,
oh yes,
source
I'm sorry,
of all,
Elle.
we connect with one another this morning in this sacred place as we affirm life itself. We see your presence in the most troubled of people who are full of strife and struggle. Our hearts reach out to those individuals, those families, and those communities by seeing your presence in them. We want to help in some way and are grateful we are able to make a difference. Spirit, it's sometimes challenging for us to care and not know what to do to help. So we pray, we serve, we forgive. We know we are connected with one another because your loving presence is in each of us equally and manifests itself as we are being true to who we really are. We allow all good to come through us. We are grateful you have graced us with the power of choice, of free will. May we see you in each other so we may choose love and not hate. This morning, if there's someone in your life who you hate or blame your unhappiness on, now is an opportunity to remember that even if you can't see God's presence in them, it's still there, regardless of appearances. Choose to love the divine within them that you can't see. Have that much faith. Believe that much. Dear God, help us to choose to practice them. As we choose to love all, including ourselves, may we remember that it is also our gift of love to you as we love others. We are grateful and affirm life. Thank you, Spirit. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. That was Elle Chess, another chaplain. So we have prayer request forms that you could fill out on the back table there. And our prayer chaplain team holds those in prayer for 30 days, and then we forward them on to Silent Unity for another 30 days of prayer. Jeanette and myself are both chaplains, and we are here if you need prayer support after today's service. We'll both be here at the platform after the service. So now you're on.
That would be me.
Yeah, that would be you, our wonderful minister. Wonderful minister, Reverend.
Thanks, Meg. So beautiful to be here with you all today and to share a little bit about the prayer of St. Francis and to really open our hearts to some of the deep connections that we have with one another and connections we have through this prayer, because it's really an old prayer that has been spoken for many years. And what I'd love to do is have us share it together as we begin. I found these neat cards online, and hopefully everyone has one. If you'd like to take another one to give to a friend, we have some in the back, so be mindful and do that as well. But I'd love it if we could share the prayer of St. Francis together. So take a moment, get out your spectacles if you need them. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Such a powerful prayer. when I first began work at the Unity Church in Palo Alto, am I loud or is it just my own ears? I'm okay? Okay, it's just my hearing aids. I had a wonderful job at Unity in Palo Alto in 1995, and it was to do what they called their fall program, a 7-week program. And we made a decision at the time to do the program on the prayer of St. Francis. And we had a book study, and we read this book called Love Never Faileth. The book is by Eknath Easwaran, who was an English teacher at UC Berkeley and also the founder of the Blue Mountain Meditation Center, which is up in this part of the country. He's passed away now, but he was a beautiful, beautiful teacher. And one chapter in the book was on the prayer of St. Francis. And we did a whole 7-week series on Make Me an Instrument. And it was really powerful to begin to understand the deeper meaning of this prayer. One of the things he recommends in this short chapter on the prayer of St. Francis is that we make a commitment to learn the prayer of St. Francis. And it's been beautiful for me to do that, and I did it back in 95, I think that we had. Did I say 75? I might have made myself older than I am. But it's beautiful to have that prayer, just to hold it and to be able to bring it out when situations in our life kind of need a deeper sense of peace, or maybe there's something else going on. There's doubt. We need to have faith, or as he says, where there's despair, there's hope. Where there's sadness, joy. So it's a powerful prayer, and I really I exhort you. That's more than encourage, to exhort. To take this prayer to heart, and maybe you don't memorize it, but say it in your prayer time every day. Every morning you could bring out the little card and just have it as part of a time for meditation. I was listening to a really wonderful YouTube the other day from Sister Joan Chichester, and she talks about how we learn these prayers, maybe it's the Our Father. Maybe for me, I have mantras from my travels to India. People use beads and they do, holy prayers, the Our Father. These are all tools that we have. So I see this prayer of St. Francis as another tool that we have. It's not something that we necessarily need to constantly rely on, but it's there if we need it. It's a spiritual tool. It's like a prayer that you hold on to, an affirmation that you have, some deep wisdom or knowing that you have. It's almost like that friend that you can call, and they're going to be there to listen to whatever it is going on inside you. It's a kind of like she talks about it as being one of the holy beads that we have that really allow us to go deeper into the silence. And so I really want to encourage everyone to really make this a practice for yourselves over the next month. Every week we'll be focusing a little bit different aspects of the prayer. Janice is coming next week. She's going to be focusing on doubt and faith and despair and hope. What I wanted to really focus on this week was this peace. What is he talking about here to be an instrument of peace? First of all, what's an instrument? Do you have a favorite instrument? Does anyone have a favorite instrument? What's your favorite instrument? Piano. So think about instruments. I was thinking about something like, I'm seeing David, he's got his guitar. I was thinking about a violin, a guitar. I love cello. I love that sound of the cello. I don't play the cello, but think about instruments. Most instruments, there's some sort of emptiness in there, isn't there? There's like a spaciousness in an instrument. And then, for instance, your piano, there are the strings, the same as with the violin, the cello. And what happens when we hit those strings? There's a resonance, isn't there? I mean, they talk about the idea that if you maybe had 2 different harps in 2 different places and you pinged one right here, the other one over there would begin to, it would resonate at that same sound. So if we think of ourselves in a similar kind of way, and we think about this, St. Francis inviting us to be humble and to open ourselves, we have this capacity to open ourselves, to create a spaciousness within ourselves. And that's part of who we are as an instrument. And then as we play ourselves, whether it's the piano, whether it's notes that we know or simply a sound, there's a literal vibration that goes out from each one of us. And we've talked about this before. I've talked about this idea that, there's a torus field energetically around each one of us that science tells us 3 feet apart, we're impacting one another with our energy, whether that's a discordant energy or as the people in heart math talk about this coherence, when we have a kind of sense of peacefulness and calmness about us. We have that peace that St. Francis is talking about, thy peace, the peace of God, the peace of the divine. It's a very different kind of peace than what most of us think of when we think of peace. It's not about warring people stopping the war. It's a very different place. And for most of us, the place that we find that peace is in the silence. It's in the stillness and the silence. And yet, what's the world we live in? Where do you find silence in your world? Yeah, we live in a world that has just so much distraction calling out to us all the time. We have to make a sacred intention for ourselves to create those spaces of stillness and silence where we can feel this and become the instrument that we are to really emanate the peace of God. Very powerful for us to become aware of that, and that as Unity students, as seekers on a spiritual path, to awaken to the living Christ, the living Spirit of truth, our Buddha nature, our sense of oneness. We have to be willing to give ourselves this time apart that we can be in this stillness. So this prayer is, Lord, make me an instrument of your peace, of thy peace, your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. I was thinking about St. Francis, and also I looked at the movie Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. Have any of you ever seen that movie? A few of you have. You can rent it for $3.99 on YouTube. It's a couple hours long, and it was made in 1972, and it has lots of music and beautiful fields of poppies, and it's a very powerful film. But it tells a piece of, Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. I'm sorry, but I can't hear what David is saying. Can somebody translate to me?
Donovan was the person.
Right, Donovan, that's right, singing the music. Yeah, and Alec Guinness plays the Pope. Not that that's an important piece, but I kept looking and going, is that Alec Guinness? Anyway, yes, Donovan, because there's some great songs. There's some great songs in the movie. It's interesting to look at the film and kind of see how they portray the life of St. Francis, because he came from a very wealthy family. His father was a textile merchant in Assisi, and very wealthy and really greedy, a very greedy man. Francis had, what I want to just say is, he got hit on the head. Have you ever gotten hit on the head? Some of us we got hit on the head when we were kids, and we began to see the world in a different way than what was right in front of us. Some of us waited until we were in our 40s because what was out here didn't really match up with what we knew to be true about ourselves. And so some of us had a slow hit on the head, Other people just got on it very quickly, and they knew that there was a different reality, a spiritual reality beyond what they were seeing. Well, the story with Francis and in the movie is how he basically rejected all the outer material of the Father and what the Father stood for, in addition to the robes and the ancient kind of embellishment of the church and how the church was really coming forward in gold and silver and robes, and it was all about money and indulgences. And Francis had this awakening to experience the gift of nature. He saw a bird, and in that moment he had the experience of his oneness with all life. Brother, sun, sister, moon is just a perfect kind of an example of saying that connection that we have with all life, the sense of oneness. And we talk about that in unity, don't we? We talk about this connection. There's one presence and one power active in our life, and we are made in that image and likeness in the same way we're connected to all the animals and the plants. We know this to be the truth of who we are, right? So Francis is a teacher for all of us in many, many powerful ways. And he went on, once he decided that he was not going to be his father's son and run his father's textile business, he went on to build churches. And he did it in a very austere way. He really rejected all of the pomp and circumstance of the church and adopted what he said, was poverty, sister poverty. He wore just sackcloth, and he was very austere in the way he devoted himself to the presence and power of God. And the Franciscans are still alive today, but it's really powerful to begin to see how we in our own life have this kind of awakening experience to something that's other than what is in front of us. And I was listening to Joan Chichester speaking about, not specifically St. Francis, but she was talking about how the church, in a way, and I'm not talking so much about unity, but just the church in the way that we've known the church, and we can see this in our world right now, has been very much about teaching us this is the right way to do it, this is the wrong way to do it. This is what's good, this is what's bad. This is me, or this is us, and this is you, this is them. There has been this kind of control that has taken the teachings of Jesus and made them about controlling how people show up in the world and who's right and who's wrong. And what St. Francis did was really open us up to what I believe unity is teaching us all the time, that we are one. We are one people. We are one presence. We're one with one another. The sadness that you feel is no different than the sadness I feel. It may be a different situation that causes you to feel sad, but that experience is the same experience. It's part of our human condition. On my way here, I called a friend who lives just outside of Asheville, and it's really funny. She's a Unity friend I've had for years, and she and her husband moved to Asheville. And when they were looking at houses from Marin County, her husband's going, "Why do we need a 5-bedroom house?" And she said, "You'll see." Then when they went to get a car, he said, "Why do we need an 8-person van?" And Heidi said, "You'll see." Well, all their kids live in Asheville, and after what happened in Asheville, all their kids are living in their 5-bedroom house, driving around in the 8-person van with all the grandchildren that they didn't have when they moved there. But what a blessing. I mean, I was so grateful to know that she's been able to bring her kids and her grandkids, and while her daughter has to go back to work, and she has a house that the basement is flooded, and she has no power and no water, there's still life still going on for people there, and we just, we hold them so deeply in our hearts. And the pain that they're feeling, we don't have the same situation, but we know what that is, don't we? Don't we know what that is? We have to be willing to understand how connected we are. And this is what I really believe St. Francis is talking about when he says, "Let me be an instrument of thy peace, the peace of God." It's beginning for all of us to realize how connected we are to one another, how powerful that connection is. And I'm doing a book study with a group in Marin, and I think I quoted this book a couple of weeks ago. It's by a Zen Buddhist named Norman Fisher. The book is The World Could Be Otherwise. Don't we kind of believe the world could be otherwise sometimes? We hope the world could be otherwise and that the world will be otherwise. But we were reading a chapter this past week on patience. And what I really understood about his teaching on patience was how our patience is about creating a bigger container for the experience of what is in the moment. You know, we all have expectations and we want it to happen the way we think it should happen. But when we can be patient, we're opening up a space for things to unfold in divine time, in God's time, with the gift and blessing of a holding rather than a reacting in our normal patterns of living. And he had a really interesting thing to say about conflict and love. And in the whole chapter, whoops, I'm so excited here. In the whole chapter, this was the one piece on patience that really grabbed me, and I think it really relates to what St. Francis is saying when he talks about where there is hatred, let me sow love. So I'd like to read a piece of this to you, if you will indulge me to do that. The title of this little section is called Conflict is Love. Conflict is love. And as I'm reading, think about not only your own life where there might be interpersonal conflicts, but think about the world that we're living in right now. So much conflict. You know, there's blue and there's red. There's what's going on in the Middle East that we're all dealing with and hearing about it all the time. So listen to this and see how this relates to your own experience of love and what may be underneath some of the conflicts that you may discover. Norman says, having spent a lot of time studying and contemplating conflict, I've come to believe that there's a drop of love at the center of every conflict. What makes conflict conflicted? Opposing interests. But what is opposed to what? He says we all need and want love. We all know that love lies at the center of who we are as human beings. We all understand the imperative to love the other as ourselves, however much we've forgotten or deny this. So when the other seems to be threatening us, there is a disturbing discontent and a disconnection with something that lies deep within us, our intense need for one another. This is why severe conflict seems to rock us to our very foundation, much more than the issue at hand would seem to warrant. At the bottom of every important conflict is a sense of love having been betrayed. We are as shaken as if jilted by a lover. Certainly we notice that when we are in a deep conflict with someone, we are as closely connected to that person as we are to a lover. We think about them many times a day. We dream about them at night. What is it that makes conflict so compelling? Why is conflict the heart of every play, novel, soap opera, pop song, all the dramatic episodes of our lives? It's because conflict is about the failure of love, and love is what matters most. This is particularly noticeable in family conflicts, which are so common and so painful. We're hurt by the betrayal of those we had counted on to love us. The indifference or hostility of someone who's supposed to love us is much more painful than that of a mere acquaintance. It hurts us to the quick. This goes for tribes of people as well. I've noticed that the most virulent and long-standing of the world's great conflicts are often between groups close to one another in proximity and ethnicity. The Israelis and the Palestinians, the Irish, Protestant and Catholics, the Sunni and Shiite Muslims. The magic of conflict is to recognize that there is a point of connection and even love at the heart of what is most painful. Because we care so deeply for one another, however much we are not in touch with this caring, we're capable of hurting one another. And once we know this, we can search within for the hurt and the vulnerability. It is in there somewhere, underneath the anger, the defensiveness, or aggression. If we can allow ourselves to feel the hurt, the grief, the fear, the disappointment, eventually we will find love. That place within us that contains the basic human feelings we all feel for one another. Such a powerful awareness, so powerful to see that in our own lives, to be willing to look for the love, and to know that what we're really feeling is that sense of betrayal, that disconnection that's happened. So I invite you to really pray on that this week, and notice if you're finding yourself having a need to judge someone or some group of people, to begin to feel that vulnerability inside yourself, that sense of, perhaps a sense of betrayal, perhaps a sense of disconnection from yourself, at a sense, from your connection with the greater whole, the God presence that indwells each one of us. And again, the best way we can do this is to really give ourselves a daily practice of going into the stillness and the silence, creating that sacred container. It's almost like, as he calls it, patience, but it's like a buffer that we create around ourselves, body and mind and spirit, to be able to hold whatever is going on in the outer and still connect with the deeper places of who we are, and still be the love in the world that is our divine and holy nature. So I'm going to invite us now to, let's turn off the lights and let's take a time to go into the stillness. Doing it together is a beautiful way to hold a sacred and holy container. And as we relax in the physical body, I invite you to take a deep and a breath, a conscious breath, being aware of your breathing, feeling the gift and grace of the breath in the body this time. There's a beautiful quote from Albert Einstein. He said, "I think 99 times and find nothing. I stop thinking and I swim in the silence, and the truth comes to me." Lao Tzu said, "Stillness and tranquility are the order of the universe." And so we take this time now to allow ourselves to be, as Francis reminded us, to be instruments of God's peace, of the peace of the divine, that universal presence that spins the planets and indwells all life. So take a moment breathing more deeply into your body and allowing yourself to rest in the silence and stillness of this time together, expanding your practice, expanding the presence, allowing yourself to be an instrument of God's peace in the stillness. we take a moment to hold in our hearts those that we know are struggling in life right now, our sisters and brothers who are close to us, heart to heart and mind to mind, those in our family and our community, and especially those in our country who are dealing with the aftermath of the hurricanes. We feel and know our connection with all life. And in this way, we listen once again to this powerful blessing of the prayer of St. Francis. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. And we give thanks for this awareness as we move out of that limited space of consciousness and die to the small self. We open ourselves to the power and presence of your love, of your grace, and of your peace. And we say thank you, God, beloved presence, creator of all that is, and so it is. Amen. And bringing your awareness back into your body as you're able to gently take a deep and conscious breath and then open your eyes, come back into this space together as one.